This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 4 of First-Time Homebuyer, The Complete Roadmap, where we're diving into the exciting world of making offers that actually get accepted. Today we'll break down how to craft a proposal that stands out from the competition without breaking your bank account. Let's get into it. Homes usually sell for almost the full asking price, yet many buyers still walk away with repairs covered, closing costs paid, or better terms. A quiet paradox. The price barely moves, but the deal completely changes. This episode explores how skilled negotiators pull that off. In this episode, we're going deeper than get a lower price and into how experienced buyers actually shape outcomes. When offers fly back and forth, it's rarely random. There's usually a quiet playbook at work. Think of the listing data, neighborhood trends, and days on market info as your map. Not just numbers, but signals about how far a seller might bend and where they'll likely hold firm. We'll look at why some buyers win the house on their second or third try, while others keep getting edged out, often with similar budgets. We'll unpack how small choices, like when you submit an offer, how you word a repair request, or whether you use an escalation clause, can tilt the table in your favor. And we'll explore how buyers protect themselves legally by making sure every agreement, no matter how friendly the conversation feels, is captured in writing. Think of this phase as learning the rhythm behind the numbers and paperwork. You're not just reacting to a listing or counteroffer, you're reading the tempo of the seller's situation, the pace of other buyers circling, and your own capacity to walk away. Here, preparation shifts from passive research to active strategy, clarifying your must-haves versus trade-offs, deciding where you'll push and where you'll flex, and lining that up with your financing and move-in timeline. We'll also surface the subtle cues in emails, agent chatter, and small delays that hint at how much room you really have to maneuver. Here's where the art side of negotiation starts to layer onto the data you've gathered. You're no longer just deciding what to offer, but how to present it so the seller wants to say yes. Start with your BATNA, even if you never say the word out loud. Knowing your best realistic alternative, another house you like, renewing your lease, moving in with family for 6 months, quietly changes your tone. Buyers who have a real fallback tend to ask better questions, spot red flags faster, and walk away from lopsided counters instead of making it work out of fear. Next, think about your anchor. In practice, that isn't just a number, it's a story. Instead of tossing out a price and hoping it sticks, you're framing why it's reasonable. Recent sales, your lender's pre-approval strength, your comfort with a shorter inspection period, or flexibility on the closing date. You're not begging for a discount, you're proposing a trade that makes sense for both sides. Communication style matters as much as content. Direct doesn't have to mean aggressive. Simple, specific language travels better through agents and email chains. We can move up the closing date if we keep the price at X. Lands more cleanly than vague, "We're really stretching here." The same goes for counteroffers. Change a few key levers at a time so the seller can see what actually matters to you instead of facing a totally rewritten deal they don't recognize. This is also where empathy-based listening starts to pay off. When your agent relays that the seller is already under contract on another home, or that they're relocating on a tight job timeline, you're getting more than gossip. You're getting a priority map. Maybe price is rigid, but closing date is movable. Maybe they care most about certainty, fewer contingencies, stronger earnest money, or a shorter option period. And remember, negotiation isn't one big dramatic moment. It's usually a handful of small, boring decisions that quietly tilt the outcome. Do you ask for a credit instead of a long list of fixes? Do you tighten one contingency while holding firm on another? Each move is modest on its own, but together they define whether you land a good enough deal or one that really fits you. A seller's agent emails, "We have strong interest. My client values a smooth process." That line isn't fluff, it's a clue. One buyer hears bidding war and jumps straight to a higher number. Another reads between the lines and tightens timelines, bumps earnest money slightly, and keeps contingencies clean while leaving price closer to their comfort zone. Same sentence, two outcomes. One overpays, one overperforms on terms. Use your questions as levers, not spotlights. Instead of, will they come down, your agent asks, what's most important besides price? Responses like fast close, as is, or certainty tell you which dials to turn. That's how some buyers win, even when they're not the top dollar, because they're the least stressful path to the finish line. Think of these moves like adjusting a camera lens. Tiny twists bring the seller's real priorities into focus, letting you frame an offer that feels tailored instead of transactional. Homes sold at 99% of list price last year, yet buyers still found room to shape outcomes. The next wave of tools will stretch that gap without turning every offer into a fight. As AI quietly drafts counters and VR condenses showings, your edge becomes how well you read nuance in short emails, text updates, even silence. Think of each message like a weather report. Not a script for your move, but a signal of changing pressure, hinting when to push, pause, or pivot to less obvious wins, like insurance, credits, or timing tweaks. In the end, mastering this doesn't mean winning every standoff. It means consistently steering outcomes closer to your real life. Think less chess, more jazz. You prep your scales, then respond to the room. As markets shift, keep testing small moves, like tweaking contingencies or timing, to see how sellers react. Each offer becomes practice for the next, until the rhythm feels natural. Start with this tiny habit. When you open an email or message where you're about to respond with your first offer, pause and whisper to yourself, what's their win? And then add exactly one clarifying question to your reply, like, what's most important to you here? Timeline, budget, or flexibility? Do this before you type any numbers or commit to anything. This tiny pause trains you to lead with curiosity instead of concessions, which is the core negotiation muscle the episode talks about. This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow.